Time now for French Connections, our weekly look at the intricacies of life here in France with Florence Villeminot. Hi, Flo.
Hey, Jeannie.
France, of course, known around the world for its delicious food. There's the wine, there's the cheese, but also countless mouth-watering regional dishes. And today you wanted to explore a little bit more what the French themselves like to eat. What's their favorite food?
Well, it's a really tough one because there are so many delicious choices. Blanquette de veau, cassoulet, duck confit, choucroute, tartiflette, coq au vin. The list goes on and on. So how do you pick a favorite? It's kind of like picking a favorite child. And as you can imagine, French people have very strong opinions about this. But it's really hard to come up with a definitive list because it changes from year to year. It changes from region to region, and even depending on the age group. However, there are some dishes that come up time and time again. For instance, according to a recent poll, 2025 poll from Ipsos, when people asked what dish best represents French gastronomy, boeuf bourguignon came on top.
Ah, interesting. All right, now if you have never had boeuf bourguignon, it's a hearty beef stew. It's braised in red wine, often red burgundy. That's the name, with carrots, onions, mushrooms. Some might say no mushrooms.
Exactly. The very, very fierce debate there. Now, Julia Child described boeuf bourguignon as certainly one of the most delicious beef dishes concocted by man. And what's interesting is it's actually relatively easy to make. It's our expression du jour, as you can see here. The only thing it takes is time, because the longer it simmers, the better it tastes. So get your apron on and join Jeannie and me in the kitchen.
There are as many recipes as there are grandmas in France, but today we decided to do a very simple version.
On top of the beef and wine, you're going to need onions, carrots, garlic, flour, lardons, mushrooms, aromatic herbs, butter, salt, pepper, oil, and a secret ingredient we're going to get to in just a little bit.
And the best thing to cook it all in is a good old-fashioned cast iron pot. Step 1, cut up the beef into 5-centimeter cubes, that's about 2 inches, and then chop up the carrots and the onions.
All right. Heat some oil in the pot and throw in the meat and some butter. The idea is to darken the meat, but especially to get the juices flowing, because that's where all the flavor is.
Once the meat has browned, you take it out. Then you put in the chopped garlic, carrots, and onion, and you cook it for about 5 minutes. Once they've sautéed, put the meat back in with some salt and pepper and butter.
Because you can never have enough butter. Now at this point, you're gonna sprinkle the meat with some flour. It's gonna give the dish a good consistency. Now you lower the heat and add the wine.
You can use any red wine, but it is best to use Burgundy. This is, after all, a boeuf bourguignon. If not, use any Pinot variety, which is fruity and slightly acidic.
Once you've poured the wine in the pot, let it reduce to about half. That way, all the alcohol evaporates. Add some aromatic herbs like bay leaves and thyme, and then cover it for 2 hours minimum.
Then, in another pan, cook your lardons, basically chopped up bacon, and mushrooms, and then add them into the big pot about halfway through. And that's before you add the secret ingredient,
which is 2 squares of dark chocolate. Now, chefs use chocolate to give the dish creaminess, also a cocoa-flavored note, and also to calm down the acidity of the wine. After about 2.5 to 3 hours, the dish is ready to serve, often with some boiled potatoes.
It's not very clear when boeuf bourguignon was invented, but it has always been a festive meal.
It's the ultimate comfort food, what we call a plat du dimanche, an elaborate hearty meal you make for a long Sunday lunch with your family. Bon appétit!
Bon appétit! So boeuf bourguignon, the king of classic French cuisine, but is that what French people really eat every day?
Well, this is where it gets interesting, right? Because the French are fiercely proud of their cuisine, but there is a big difference between how they like to see themselves and everyday reality. When you ask them what they like to eat on a regular basis, the menu gets more eclectic. And as you can see it here, pizza usually is at the top of the list. So this is a traditional Italian dish, right? But the French still managed to put their twist on it using French cheeses like reblochon or or even some crème fraîche, but don't tell the Italians about that.
And there's another French favorite with a twist, couscous.
That's right, and this dish really reflects modern France, and it certainly has won its place at the table in France. So this is a dish originally from North Africa, and it is actually one of the most beloved dishes here in France. A few years ago, it actually beat boeuf bourguignon in that list of favorite dishes. So why is it so popular? The list is long.
On a fait une publicité pour les légumes, manger des légumes, manger des légumes. Donc dans la sauce, il y a beaucoup de légumes sur le couscous. Et puis c'est un plat qui est facile à digérer et copieux et moins cher et bon.
Well, one thing is clear. Whatever they're eating, the French really value sit-down meals.
That's right, because food isn't just about nourishment here in France. Eating well is actually part about living well, and meals are very social. It's a daily culinary ritual. It's so important and such a big part of French life that back in 2010, the gastronomic meal of France was actually listed as a UNESCO World Heritage. So I don't know about you, Ginny, but all this has made me very hungry.
Definitely. Me too, Flo. Thank you so much for that look at what we eat here in France. Don't forget, if you want to get a closer look at any of our French connections, you can do that on the website, france24.com.